What up, guys? We are back here. Stuart, Schmidt coming to you live from Keller Williams flagship of Maryland. We are the Schmidt Home Consultants team, and we're up here in Studio B, second floor here in Millersville, Maryland. We are with the beautiful, handsome John Scally. He is my cloak of protection. And you guys know I love Maryland, rocking my Maryland shades here, and none other than my personal insurance agent here to talk business, share his story, and really just, how do you put up with Stu? I don't know. He's a little crazy.
No, I love it. Thank you very much for inviting me for this video.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. How do I handle Stu? I don't really handle Stu. You know, you're always smiling. You're always having a good time. You're always, working with people, being a good resource for them. And I kind of think of myself as the same way. I don't take myself too serious.
Yeah.
I'm serious when I have to be, but
yeah, I think that's kind of how we connected back in the day,
yeah.
right? I feel like we've known each other forever.
2012, 2013,
yeah.
Something like that.
We were at a Northern Anne Arundel County Chamber of Commerce event and just happened to lock eyes across the bar, across the restaurant. We'll say restaurant. With John.
Where your fiance was with you.
Fiance. I haven't used that word in a while. Fiance. That's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
So yeah, we had a small group.
Yep.
And in that chamber, and we were looking for members. And I can remember I asked you, and then another one of our members asked you, you said, I'm going to have to check this out.
Yeah.
So you and Michele came
Yep.
to several of those meetings. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was a good group. And what's been nice, that small, powerful group has really spun off into a group that we have now, correct?
Yeah, the cable group.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. Professionals from different industries come together. They talk about what's important to their industry, what's important to their clients.
Yep.
Just really the education from each professional has been very valuable to me.
Yep, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good to know that. And so, how has that helped you with your clients on a daily basis? And what do you do? What does an insurance agent really do? I want to know.
You know what? We listen. We
Okay.
listen. We listen to people. We ask questions, and what our job is to do is to give them an education on how they can best protect themselves financially. So whether it's from their car insurance, whether they are a small business owner, they got a boat, they got a jet ski, they have teenage drivers. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do to help them protect themselves financially in case something bad happens.
Yep.
So
you were telling me a story a couple weeks ago about a negative that turned into a positive about a teenage driver.
Yes, a very unfortunate event. Some teens were in a very serious car accident, and the bodily injury was well over $1 million in damages. So about 3 months prior to that, I was speaking with the boy's mother about an umbrella policy, and that's what protects you above and beyond what your car insurance would. And then she promptly had a conversation with her ex-husband. He got an umbrella policy. She got an umbrella policy. Now, she was my policy holder, but the son was with, the father's on his plan. And after that horrific accident, everybody's fine now. But there was some time there that was touch and go with a couple of those youngsters. They kept their homes, because the damages were paid from the insurance company rather than out of their own pocket or out of their savings or their kids' college fund. Their 401k. So those things are protected when you have the right insurance policy. So yeah, it was really bad, the accident. I'm a car guy, and I could not tell you what kind of car that was.
So what I hear you saying, you had a conversation with that client, you asked really good questions, and you knew that you had the vehicle to help, no pun intended, you had the vehicle to help them be successful.
Yes.
And alleviate, mitigate some risk.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Let the most and best, most affordable way for you to protect yourself financially is through an insurance plan.
Yep.
And I say plan, not policy, because sometimes there's multiple policies in your insurance plan. You have your home, you have your small business, you have your car, your toys, all that stuff can be insured.
Yep.
And the way these companies work these days is you get these huge discounts if you have more than one line of insurance. Some people call it bundling, and it's really a great thing.
Yeah.
It really does drive
How did you
the
get
cost
into
way
this
down.
field? Like, what? Did you just wake up?
Yeah, I said I want to be an insurance agent.
Yeah, when you were like a kid, right?
Actually, we had some family members that were in the insurance industry,
Wow.
so I had a little bit of insight, but I never thought of myself as, boy, I'm going to be an insurance agent when I grow up. No, I actually was in technology. I was working for telephone companies at the carrier level, and boy, in the late 1990s, these companies were buying and selling each other every other day. I mean, there were times.
You must have started when you were 10 if it was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, thanks, Stuart. Appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, you go to work and your key doesn't work. You're like, what's going on? Did the company get sold? Do I still have a job? It was very stressful. And my kids were newborns when all that was going on. And I said, I've got to take my future into my own hands. So I started looking for an industry where I could be a true resource for somebody. All right.
that.
And not a resource when we're talking about that family with that really bad accident. Working for the telephone company, I'm like, okay, you're out of service. I can help you. That's not the kind of resource I really want it to be for people and their families.
Sounds like you wanted to be proactive instead of reactive.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's kind of how we gain our clients, by referrals, word of mouth. We have a different approach than, the 30 seconds. It says 15 minutes could save you some. I can't do my job in 15 minutes. Now it's 8 minutes or even 3 minutes. You can get a quote for, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
How do you know what to get?
Yep.
How do you know what's going to protect you?
Yeah. How do you ask the right questions?
Can you do your job in 3 minutes?
Oh my gosh,
I can't do my job.
How
in
do
3
you
minutes.
how do you ask the right questions in 3 minutes? I mean, that's really sounds challenging.
There's some very basic probing questions. Really, it's tell me about yourself.
Yep.
They start talking about their family, and next thing you know, they have, their mother lives with them. They have 2 kids. One's in college. These are all triggers to ask further questions about the risk that their family has.
Yep.
And
and I'm sure that because you deal with so many clients that what different people need at different times, the probability of something happening to a certain client. And I'm sure that comes from education. Yeah. You've been doing this for how long now?
Actually, it's 10 years now.
10 years, wow.
10 years. Wow. I started the process 10 years ago, 1999.
Okay.
And
the golden decade?
Yeah.
And where are you at now? Where's your agency?
Agency's in Millersville.
Okay.
So I grew up in the area.
Yep.
Not necessarily this area, but Anne Arundel County.
Yep.
And so did my wife.
Okay.
And then we moved up north to Cecil County, and we were there for several years, and that's where my first agency was in Cecil County. And we had a pooling back home.
Yep.
So we wanted to come back home. And I always said that if I'm in business, I'm going to be in business where I live. I want to be a resource for my neighbors. So I live in Millersville. My office is in Millersville.
Yep.
My kids go to school here. We're involved in local sports.
Yep.
So I'm your typical, hometown guy.
Yeah. And you're rooted in the community here. I remember a couple of years ago, this guy dressed up like Santa Claus on a cold December morning, invited all of his clients down to his office. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, we had several people come in. My daughters were elves, if you remember.
Oh, that's right.
And you should see their pictures. They're not great because they're like, do I have to be here? So anyway, it was a lot of fun. And moms were bringing down their newborns, and they're changing and doing 5 different outfits. And I'm thinking, you can't get that done in the mall.
No.
So that's really why I did it.
Yeah, that was exciting.
So that was a lot of fun.
Well, there's some other fun stuff that your agency offers, and the people that you work with and work through. I know Donna's been with you for a long time.
I don't know if she would call it fun, but we do have a very relaxed atmosphere. It's not 1,000 miles an hour with our hair on fire. It is let's take care of our clients one at a time. We're old school, old fashioned. Donna Lewis has been with me since day one. There's been times where I always say I would not be in business today if it wasn't for Donna.
Wow.
So
that's a big
it really is.
Weight for her to carry.
I remember once I introduced her to one of my business groups, and I broke down crying. She means that much.
Well, I know a lot. I've gotten to know you pretty well over the last 7.5, 8 years, and passionate is how I would define
Yeah.
John Scally.
Yeah.
I think that your passion really exudes itself, not just through business, through being a mentor, through being an advisor, really looking long-term for your clients. And I'm sure other people have told you that. I want that to go on record and say your passion really is why we're in business together.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And when I try to describe myself, I do use that word.
Good.
Because it's important.
Do you say handsome?
No.
No.
Smart? I go the other way.
Smart?
I don't even
maybe,
know.
Maybe,
No.
So you got 2 beautiful daughters, beautiful wife. Yeah.
18 years now.
18 years.
18 years of marriage.
Wow.
I have a 15-year-old daughter, a 13-year-old daughter. They're both in the local sports. One plays soccer year-round.
Wow.
One plays lacrosse year-round. I've been lucky enough to coach them here and there. But I'm their biggest fan. I really am.
That's awesome.
You know, when people are talking about the new TV and binge watching, well, I binge watch my kids.
That's awesome.
So it's at practice. I'm the one that sticks around at practice, and I'm the one that, is probably the biggest person cheering on the sideline, and of course the big hugs when you need them after some of those tough games.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. What was it, about 3 months ago? I was walking off a field at the high school, local high school. I coach, volunteer my time through Glen Burnie High School baseball, and I'm kind of walking off the field and look over to my right, and it's a rainy, Wednesday afternoon, and there's my guy, John, over there with his umbrella. We got to sit there for a couple minutes and talk and watch his daughter play, and that's really cool when I can see you in a different light, right? I see you on a constant basis in our business meetings, our business groups, and now I see you as a dad. So it was really neat to see that, and I appreciate all the stuff you do for the community. What does your ideal client look like? Because I know it's not me.
Actually, it is.
Okay, well that's good to know.
Here's what I always tell people: what are you looking for as far as a policyholder? I would like to have small business owners. Small business owners also own homes. They own cars, multiple cars. They have toys like boats and motorcycles and things like that. They're small business. They have employees. There's workers' compensation. All that ties into everything that I can be a resource for. Yep. So, as you know, Stu, we have all your policies, and there's a lot of them.
What do we have? About 20 policies, maybe.
Pretty close to 20
close,
policies. Yeah. So some of the business, some are personal.
Yep.
And that's really what the perfect customer for me is, to be somebody that is accessible, somebody that wants to protect themselves, and somebody that has multiple policies. So I do have some clients that it is send a text, send an email, and that's how they operate, and that's okay if that's how they want to communicate. I can do it that way. Mm-hmm. What I prefer is the relationship, this one-on-one. Donna and I were both old school. Mm-hmm. All right, we pick up the phone, we make calls, we answer the phone. My kids know that if it's dinner time and my phone's ringing off the hook, it doesn't happen often, but I do excuse myself. Mm-hmm. I answer the phone, I take care of our policyholder, and then I go right back to the family. All right, small sacrifices for really long-term gain. Yep.
That really ties into how John ended up here today. We had a conversation this morning about a kind of a difficult policy that we're working through, and I said, "Hey, you want to come by the office?" And John's always up for a face-to-face meeting. I've learned that about John. I've read a book recently called The Team Success Handbook, and the Team Success Handbook talks about how people want to be communicated with and how they want to communicate with other people. And so when I read this book about 6 months ago, my assistant and I read it, and my eyes just opened up, because I couldn't believe I love making phone calls. I dislike receiving phone calls. And you would think, man, that really just does not make any sense whatsoever. I have no problem receiving a text message. It gives me time to kind of think through the response. And so learning about how John runs his business, how he loves the phone conversation, to stop by face to face. In the beginning, man, we would kind of butt heads. I don't have time to talk to John. I don't have time to meet with John. And I started to realize that is not a smart way for me to be effectively communicating as a leader and also as a peer to John. And so I had to kind of step outside of my comfort zone and say, I need to meet with John. And
Did you read this book recently, like in the last 3 months?
a little
Because
bit.
it seems like that's about when that change happened, right?
It
About 3 months ago.
It probably was, right? And
I
so
might have to read it now.
it's really good. It really just talks about how different levels of communication work through the process. And so it helps me with my clients. Some of them are maybe NSA, can't have phone conversations during the day. Email is a challenging way to communicate, right? Different inflections are made at different times. And so this book really helped me just say, when can I have the right conversation? How can it be an effective conversation? And so question we ask all of our clients now is, how do you want to be communicated with?
Yeah.
Some text, some email, some pick up the phone. And so we really learned through that.
Yeah, and there's like a huge culture shift going on right now with some cultures, youngsters, they will answer a text like that.
Yep.
Well,
you and I are like...
They won't ever answer the phone.
Yeah, exactly. Well, John and I are like half millennials, right? Like we're on that little cusp there where...
No.
Again, and so, well, you look young, that's...
Appreciate
I've
that.
always loved that about you. And so this morning, John called. We were going over a question, and I said, hey, can you come by the office this afternoon? Yep, schedule's clear. Hey, you want to do an interview today? So we're doing this little business-to-business interview series with our local business owners, really highlighting their differentiation, their value proposition, because if we're going to partner with them, then we're going to be your cheerleader. You talked about being your kid's number one fan. Well, I'm John Scalley's number one fan, and I want to share that with you today and share that with everybody that's out there.
Well, thanks, Stuart.
Yeah,
Appreciate
and you've
that.
done a tremendous job protecting Michele and Cooper and I, not from just business insurance, life insurance opportunities, outside the box thinking on some of our renovation projects with Sean and I, and just ways to protect us in case there ever were an issue. So what are some horror stories besides, car accidents obviously happen. We got hailstorms. We have this volatile Maryland weather.
The horror for me, about the only thing that keeps me up at night is having somebody call me and say, John, I don't have this coverage. Why don't I have this coverage? Why didn't you ask me about this coverage? I would have had this coverage.
Yep.
And so that's why I can't do my job in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's the horror story, is when somebody calls you and you tell them, I'm sorry, you do not want you didn't want the rental car coverage on your car insurance. So now that your car's banged up, you're going to have to hitch it to work.
Well, I've mentioned this before. I'm not a horror story person. You've kind of brought up a point. I had this issue a couple years ago with my parents. They didn't have water sewer backup,
right? Mm-hmm.
And their basement flooded. And antique furniture from my great grandfather that had been passed down to me and would be passed down to my son got ruined, and they did not have the water sewer backup. And so we learned through that process, you have to have an expert on your side. I mean, was that like a little plug there?
Yeah, an expert. I am licensed.
That's right. Nationwide, right? On your side. So,
yes, sir.
And John, now I know when the phone rings that John, it's important, and he knows that my communication is quick and to the point. Yet I know that he needs to have that conversation. What else is going on in John's life?
You know what? The kids are healthy. My wife and I are happy. We're busy because of the sports and the business. Finally got a boat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So we're.
Have you named it yet?
We have named it the Scallywag.
The Scallywag.
Yeah,
oh man, I love that. I love that. I love that. That's awesome. Well, I mean, that just shows John's personality right there. I mean, this guy is here in Millersville, Severna Park area. He's got his roots here in the community. Grew up in southern Anne Arundel County. Came back home to really take care of the people. It's almost a little bit about my story. A little bit. Went away for a little while on the western shore or the eastern shore and came back to be here in the community. Has boat riding been fun? Is it in the water?
It is in the water.
Good.
Well, we keep it at a marina. We call them, say, hey, we're going to be down there about half an hour.
Okay.
And they put it in the water.
Okay.
Put some ice on the back.
Yeah.
It's fun.
That's
and
awesome.
The kids like it, and they like to do the tubing, and I just like to to go.
Yeah.
Just get out there.
Yep.
Throw the anchor over.
So when you're sitting out there, let's think about this, because I'm like big vision picture kind of guy. When you're sitting out there on that boat and the engine's off, I mean, tell me about that smile.
Well, I turn my phone off when I go out. The kids don't.
Okay.
You know, they're 13 and 15, so they're you see them doing that.
They're
the whole time.
selfie in the sunsets.
Yeah,
and
they do a lot of that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, both my daughters like the sunsets, and so we see them from different areas, and it's nice. You know, I grew up on the South River, so now we're on the Severn River, and it's different, but very similar.
Gotcha.
Just the sounds, the smells, the boaters going by you, the clank of the masses, you know, on the sailboats. I mean, all that. That's just.
Well, you know, I grew up on Marley Creek, so we had some smells down there.
Yeah.
We don't talk about those.
No, we're not going to.
So you're on your boat.
Talk about high tide.
High tide. Okay.
High tides.
Okay.
High tides
Gotcha.
smells.
So we're on our boat. You're on your boat, and you got the wife and the two girls. I mean, what else can be better than that?
Not much.
Yeah.
Not much.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we take their friends out, and we got that specific style boat because there's a lot of seating in it.
Yep.
And it's fun.
Yep.
It is a lot of fun.
So this is summertime. We got a lot of kids getting right out of college, and they want to start their own business. What would be that scallywag piece of advice you would provide?
I would give them advice to say, go work with somebody. You don't have to be an intern, but go get a job there. If you want to be an electrician, go get a job as an electrician. Don't just say, I'm going to go be an electrician. I'm going to start my own business. Go work for somebody. Ask them to be a mentor. All right, seek out the leadership, and you have to plan.
Yep.
This whole, if you build it, they will come. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Now you have to plan. That comes down to, you know, what are your expenses? You don't know what your expenses will be? Okay, business owners love to talk about themselves.
Yep.
Go ask a business owner, what are your expenses, and they'll tell you.
Yep.
You know, they're not going to tell you down to the penny, but they'll
Yeah,
tell
I mean,
you.
Michele and I, we run our profit and loss every single month. We're an open book company. We share that with all of our assistants, all of our fellow agents that work with us. Did you have a mentor when you were first in the business?
I did.
Excellent.
I had some family members very close to me, and they told me the same thing.
Yep.
They said, go seek out those experts.
Yep.
Go talk to the guys that have those very large agencies. Go talk to the guys that have the 40 and 50-year agencies, and find out how they're operating. What about the lean times? How did you operate?
Yep.
Well, you stopped selling insurance for dump trucks. Oh my gosh, that's half your book of business. What happened?
Yeah.
How'd you get through that?
Yep.
You know, so my advice would be just go and talk.
So would you say that you're learning based?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Excellent.
The hard way. That's one of my
Yeah.
nicknames growing up. My dad would call me Hard Way.
Hard way.
I did everything the hard way.
I like that. I like that. So we got a business to business interview talking just a little bit about John off the cuff. He talks about planning, finding a mentor. Does your company offer mentorship or internship opportunities?
You know what? Right now, we're not set up. We have done it in the past.
Okay.
We're going through some changes as an agency.
Yep.
With some of the companies that we're doing business with, it's exciting. I'd say exciting because I don't want to say scary.
Yep.
But we are finding the very positives about this.
Yep.
And I'm still continuing to go and ask those other experts, hey, how does this look?
Yep.
How does this look for you? How did it look 5 years ago? So we're probably going to do some more internships in the near future.
Good.
It could be somebody that wants to know how to use Microsoft applications. It could be somebody that wants to learn about marketing. Perhaps somebody that wants to be an insurance professional. So there's a lot of things that we can teach and mentor.
And that's kind of about your background too, marketing. I remember when you were helping me with some stuff on the internet, and I could just tell, man, your passion was the marketing side of it, the people side of it. And so when you can help create generations of people that take that scally way and really just kind of pass it generation to generation, that's really cool. What do you think, Donna, 10 years? I mean, she's like your work wife. I mean, is that 10
she's
years
truly
with you?
yes.
Wow.
And she's truly awesome.
Yeah.
And she's got a great family life, just wonderful family. She's just around all the time. I feel like I know them like my own children because we talk about them all the time.
Well, that's a testament to you as a leader to have somebody who's that strong, who could probably go start her own agency, and she's worked with you for 10 years.
Yes.
And so that to me sounds like a win-win relationship. And when you're continuing to grow, she's able to grow.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like you've lifted her lid over the years to get to a point where you've grown this Millersville market to be the Scally market.
Yeah.
And so what would she say about John? What would if I asked her, what do you think about John? Tell me something about John.
I think that she would say that I'm passionate.
Okay.
I think that she would say that I'm loyal and friendly and kind and funny looking.
Yeah, funny looking.
I think that she would say the things that somebody that's been around for 10 years would say.
Yep.
But it's truly been my honor to have her working at the agency.
Yep.
So when you call in, you're only going to get 3 people there at the agency.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be myself, or Donna.
Yeah, I remember a situation a couple weeks ago. You were out of the office, and we were like scrambling. And Donna just jumped right in, got the information that we needed. She knows me a little bit. I wouldn't say great. Met her 2 or 3 times stopping in the office, and she just was ready to jump in. It was like 4:59 in the afternoon, and I'm sure her day probably is over close to 5 o'clock. And that resonates down because not everybody's going to do that for somebody.
We do things the same exact way. Yeah. And we spend a lot of time with each other talking about how are you doing these policies? How are you communicating with these customers?
Yep.
And we try to be very consistent. It's kind of McDonald's way.
Yep.
And the more consistent we are, the easier it is for either of us to jump right in.
Yep.
And that's she's trained me well.
That's good. Well, that ties into a little bit. I want to talk about this book, Rocket Fuel. It talks about accountability and how you build accountability across all members of your team. And so when you guys are on the same page, your clients know that whether it's Donna, John, Joe, Mary, that all of you are on the same page. It makes that consistency show, and that they know that the experts are there. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that's really what these interviews are about, is teaching others that want to start a business. You're currently running a business. Are there pieces that you're missing? What are the little tidbits that John's learned over 10 years that can help the next person? And how can we coach future generations? As you know, I'm very passionate about the educational side. Coach Schmidt at Glen Burnie High School. And so when we can coach others and we can see that resonate across business and across their life,
mm-hmm.
that's really what I love. We're kind of wrapping this up a little bit. What are some parting words? What do you want to tell people about John?
You know what? I'm a normal guy. I'm a trustworthy guy.
Is it weird talking in the third person?
It really is. Yes.
I can tell some uncomfortableness there.
People, what should they know?
So John, tell me.
I'm local.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm available.
You're available.
Yeah.
Good.
So, the office, the cell phone, whatever you need. You need me to get in the car and drive, to.
Yeah, this brings up, I forgot about this. Michele and I bought a house in Crofton about 3.5 years ago. And we have 30 people show up to help us renovate and basically demolish this house and put it back together. John shows up. My man John shows up with his ladder, with his paint roller, with his paint bucket, and you were the last one to leave. I mean, I basically had to kick the guy out of my house, and we're painting and renovating. Nobody likes to paint.
Well,
I couldn't believe it.
I don't really like to paint, but I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah.
And
you were painting ceilings that night.
Ceilings are hard.
Walls.
People just don't like to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
But that was a good time.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you. Appreciate you being here today. You guys ever need a question answered? You just want to have your plan reviewed, right? We're not talking about policies. We're talking about plans. You want to talk about having your plan reviewed? give John a call. John Scally, Millersville, currently with Nationwide. We love this guy, man. Give him a call. Thank you.
Stu, thank you very much for having me on.
Appreciate you, man. Anytime. Thanks, guys. That's a wrap. Watch out for the microphone.